All right, we're back up and running. We're good.
Okay, so we are out of executive session in regards to the Personnel Committee. We have three discussion points or three topics. The first one, can I get a motion in regards to Zach's increase?
I'll make that motion.
Can you be specific about the amount?
So I'll make a motion that we proceed with the recommended amount that was discussed in the Personnel Committee.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second the motion.
Awesome, thank you. What I would like to do is say it this way. If there's anybody opposed or abstaining, please notify us now, please. Seeing none, because I can see everybody, that motion passes. Is that okay to do it that way, Travis?
I don't see why not.
Or do you want a roll call vote?
I don't.
Thank you.
I don't think we need a roll call, but I don't know. I defer to you guys. I'm not up on Robert's rules that well.
All right. Anybody have objections to doing it that way? Thank you. Okay, so that motion carries. It just quicker this way. Second motion, Scott, do you have a motion to be made?
The second motion requests to table the recommendation for Travis for an information request that we discussed in personnel.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Is there a second?
Bryce, I'll second.
Okay, I'm sorry. Looking at all the screens, is there anybody opposed or abstaining? Shut.
Is there anybody opposed or abstaining?
There was not. So that motion carries. I apologize. There was a third motion on the per diem administrative specialist. Is there a motion on that?
I make a motion that we add an administrative assistant as needed up to the amount that we discussed in committee
And as the budget allows.
and as the budget allows.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second
Sure.
it, Storm.
Storm seconds it. Thank you. By looking at all the screens, is there anybody that is against or abstaining from that motion? I see none. That motion passes. We had nothing more to report from the Personnel Committee.
Hey, Mick, you're on mute.
Patty, I think the education committee report is next. I gotta find my thing, but I do believe that's what's up next.
Can I defer to Travis because I have a dog that's being annoying?
Stand by. Okay, education wise, there was a couple issues that we talked about that were HR related. So if anybody has any specific questions or if they've heard any of any issues, please let me know. Or certainly you can talk to Patty. There's current courses that are running. We've got some AEMT courses out there, one in Lewis. We've got Granville. That was been ongoing with Paul Zinn. And then there's one running in Cambridge, which is good. There's also ongoing EMT courses in Fort Edward in Washington County. And then as far as upcoming courses, we just advertised and open up registration for an EMT course in Lewis. And then we're hoping very soon to get a course going in Luzerne in Warren County. So hopefully that'll be together and advertised somewhat soon. There's some other kind of non-certification courses that we're looking at. Still waiting on the state to determine kind of when we can start teaching CLI courses again. They were working on that curriculum. But we're also looking at some AHA instructor courses, probably another BLS instructor course. Our last one was in Lewis, I believe in August, and probably a PALS instructor course as well, at least one. So if anybody needs those, or if you have people for those, let me know, because we can do any of those really in any county that needs it. So those are the things that are coming on, are coming down the pipe soon. New policy statements. The state just released new policy statements on distance learning and EMT field and clinical. The big change with the EMT level for future courses is a change from patient contact hours, or excuse me, a number of hours for time in the field or in a clinical setting to the number of patient contacts. So it'll go from a minimum of 10 hours to a minimum of 10 patient contacts, with some specific language that allows us to be really flexible about where we send students, right? So doesn't have to be an agreement that we have with an ER setting. It could be an urgent care setting, or some other type of setting that we think might be beneficial to the students. So that came about pretty quickly. I wasn't expecting that to come out so soon. I actually sat on a little committee to talk about that no more than 3-4 weeks ago. So they turned that one around pretty quickly. And then the distance learning policy, if you take a look at it, it defines what distance learning is, asynchronous versus synchronous learning, how much online work you can include in a course, and different things like that. So those are the new education related policies that just came out last week, I believe on Tuesday. Other than that, I don't have anything from the Mountain Lake side of things education wise, unless people have questions.
Any questions for Travis? All right, Bruce Berry, you still on there? Bruce, you on there? Do we give us an ECH update? All right. Scott, Aliside.
I can do ECH if you want.
Yeah, just,
Yeah,
Okay.
Dr. Bumbar, go ahead.
At least I can talk about what Bruce talked about at the REMAC. We are on class 3 of the paramedic program. And we are progressing pretty well. The students are in phase 2 of 3 phases of their clinical time. And they should finish up their phase 3 requirements somewhere around the first of the year. And then they do their capstone and internship, and they should be done by July. Actually by June, I take it back. And we start the new class in July. So that's where we're at.
Scott, I'm gonna come back to you because Mary has to leave at 6, so I'm just gonna get her report real quick before she leaves. Go ahead, Mary. Mary, you can go ahead with your report if you want.
Yep, sorry about that. I was trying to unmute my phone. Real quick, if agencies could remember to send in their paperwork with ample time, at least 30 days prior to expiration, both the CON and the controlled substance renewals, it would be greatly appreciated. And the other thing is, be sure when you're sending in your reports for controlled substances that you're only using the new form. There are no more quarterly reports. So go through the filing cabinets, get rid of all the old forms, and go to the website and pull down the new form. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Joe or I. Some people have been going to B&E with questions and they just get sent back to Joe or I anyway. And it just delays getting you guys a response. That's it. Anyone have any questions for me?
Any questions for Mary? All right, thanks, Mary. Have a good night. Be safe.
Thank you. You too.
Scott, we'll go to you for Alcide.
Yeah, just a quick update. They're running their normal daytime course. They got a little bit of a late start. It'll start in a couple of weeks. Thanks.
All right, Storm, if you want to give us a Clinton County update there.
Okay, Clinton County's doing their normal, original, and refresher EMT course for the fall. That will finish up in January. The EMT course is now a credit-bearing course at Clinton. So the students come out with 6 college credits when they're finished, which is new for us this semester. And will continue going forward. They're using it as all of their old health requirements and their physical ed requirements that students were required to get in college. So it is prompting people, hopefully, to begin to take these courses, which will be good for us if we get anybody out of it at all that actually participates in an agency. And we're trying to direct people to agencies where they're living, since Clinton community is basically home-based. People are coming from home and not coming from outside the community as a whole to do this. And then we're starting an AEMT course in November. I think it's November 8th, if I'm not mistaken, or the 11th. I can't remember what his registration day is. That's where we are. We should be good.
All right, thanks, Storm. Any questions for Storm? All right, Patty, if you can give us a SEMSCO report.
I was not at the SEMSCO. I was actually working. So again, I would defer to Travis.
Yeah, and if it's helpful, I can, there's some pretty good notes out there from a couple different people. They took extensive notes over the course of 2 days, so I can send those out. But I'm not prepared to give a report. I just don't have my notes in front of me from the meeting. But I don't know if Tiff might have 1 or 2 highlights of big things, but I can certainly send out the meeting notes. That's easy.
Yeah, if you would do that, Travis.
I went to the CMAC, but not the SEMSCO, but I can give you a little bit from there if that's helpful. Yeah? No? Yeah.
Sure.
Don't get so excited. All right, let me call through here for just a second and pick out the highlights. They address the long wait times at various emergency departments. There is a reporting document that the state sent out that I can send out to you guys to help with that. The state has a Surgeon Flex Operations Center that's supposed to be trying to help with the full hospital situation and the waiting outside on the ramp or inside in the hallway, depending on your patient situation that's going on everywhere. I'm told that Albany Med has some wait times of up to 2.5 hours sitting on the ramp in your ambulance with a patient, which causes you to know all of their family members and their pets' names, which cannot be pleasant. Hopefully we don't ever get to that up here, but who knows? There's a goal at the state level to have at least 1 community paramedicine program in each county. So contact Mary if you're interested in that, and she can route you to the right people to help you.
I had a question on that.
Please. I
Is
probably
that
have no answers, but I'll
the-
try.
Is that the paramedic or community paramedicine like at the level of Cambridge, or is that the
Right.
give shots?
No, I think they're looking to do like the Cambridge level. the give shots thing is open to anybody who wants to pony up. I think that's not actually community paramedicine. That's granted to all of us if we want to do that.
But I thought, the, law needed to be changed in order for us to be able to do that.
So
Mhm.
regarding vaccinations, I'm sure Chief Trammell could probably speak to this. There was a plan, any agency that was out there working with the health department to vaccinate, maybe in their jurisdiction, they had to fill out paperwork and a plan, and they were deemed a community paramedicine agency. So Chief, is that correct? That's the process you went through, yeah?
Yeah, it was a temporary order. Originally the state didn't have any guidance that was put out. They later came out with guidance when everybody started to get involved in the program and came out with some paperwork. So you had to submit a plan. The plan had to be approved by your local health department, and you had to be certified by your local health department, and had to be submitted to the state and approved through the state prior to allowing you to do this limited paramedicine for community vaccinations. That's
Yeah,
about it.
that was my understanding. So Travis, maybe if you can, oh, he's on the phone, but maybe if we can just get some clarification later, that would be awesome.
All right,
All right.
to the agenda. Anything else, Dr. Baumgart, or you're good?
There are a couple other things that were interesting. One is there's the executive order that expires on the 27th, but is apparently expected to be renewed, that said pre-hospital providers can function up to the level of training inside hospitals now and in other non-traditional environments. So that's something that we should definitely all keep an eye on, because that could change our world. There are classes on EMS supervisor leadership and mental health and substance abuse that are getting rolled out via the Vital Signs Academy. So if those are things you're interested in, you should check that out there. The REMAC has decided to ask the new Department of Health director to add a state EMS medical director position, which might really streamline the whole protocol affirmation process. So the biggest problem right now with protocols is not that we're not writing them and changing them and correcting them, but that they get hung up at the executive level at the state, and then they sit there for like months. It's horrible. And if we actually had a physician medical director for the state, like every other freaking state has, like every other state has, then we could maybe get some stuff done, because we would have somebody that was actually our ultimate end person that does what we do. So we're going to ask, because Dr. Zucker is on his way out and we're having a new person coming in, it might be the time to finally establish that. So that's in the works. Ketamine dosing is under discussion given the events in Colorado, and so stay tuned. There may be some redosing corrections to the protocols, or may not. And we had a discussion about adding Suboxone to the protocols. That's a long range kind of thing. It's an interesting discussion to keep your eye on, and that's all I got.
All right, thank you so much. Zach, data and informatics report.
Zach, you're on mute.
Zach, we can't hear you. Zach, we can't hear you.
It would help if I double unmuted. We ran a couple of reports, one on ketamine, and the other one kind of just some cardiac arrest stuff. We need to look at the reports a little bit more, but we can send those out. Biggest thing is make sure that if you're in the CME program or your agency is, that you're submitting your PCRs fully electronically before January 1st. The paper PCR portal doesn't count. There's only a couple agencies that are still using that. Other than that, we've gotten all of our agencies. I believe there's one transporting agency that hasn't either gone electronic by some means, the state's free software, or a fee for use one. Other than that, it's mostly BLS first response agencies. Other than that, the hospitals should all now have access to image trends. So as long as agencies are actually submitting their charts, it would be another method for the hospital to be able to go and obtain a copy of that PCR. Other than that, that's about all that I have.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it. Now we have county EMS reports. Let's start with Scott Harwood. And Franklin County. Yep.
Just very quickly, definitely everyone's in the same boat, concerned about staffing. And we are trying to get some training up and running again, and I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Scott. How about you, Storm? You can go next.
Nothing, we have nothing going on really. We're just kind of treading water and trying to do what we need to do to get things done. We are switching out our narcotics at this present time, so everybody's developing their own policies, switching out their narcotic boxes. So that's an ongoing process at the moment. By the first of the year, we hope to have that all accomplished for everybody. And then we will be golden.
All right. Thanks, Storm. Matt, you can go ahead and go next.
So as everybody knows, we got our municipal CON as permanent now instead of provisional. Hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have a new Patty on board. Max finished up interviews the other day. They're going to do some background checks and stuff. And then hopefully, like I said, by the end of the week, we'll have a new EMS coordinator in that position. We got a couple new EMTs starting, doing some station coverage, and we're just moving along with the EMS program.
Mine already updated.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Bruce, how about Washington County?
Washington County is the same as Franklin and Clinton about, but probably Essex, but definite lack of volunteerism. So the agencies are relying on paid, basically. Most of the squads are getting out on their first call fine without mutual aid. Paul and I are working on it very diligently. The Public Safety Committee is looking into the future of EMS for Washington County. Paul has had several meetings with the captains. So it's business as usual. It's my usual expression. We're doing the best we can, as any rural community is. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. As far as Warren County, again, staffing shortages. Most agencies are getting out for the first calls. We're starting to use a lot of I'm responding for resource availability, working with the dispatch center on that. We are using LifeNet, the OES. We've had a lot of changes in the OES office, but LifeNet's going to be offering a class once a month down here for providers. Working out the logistics, but you'll see some, we'll put out some flyers for that stuff if anybody's interested. Working on doing a stress management wellness with one of the yoga studios. Waiting for the contract on that to be finished. But other than that, same, we've been kicking the county thing. I think we're going to approach 6 years. They started talking about it again, but we'll see how that goes. But that's it for Warren County, unless you got something. Travis, you got something for Warren? I think I covered everything pretty well.
No, I've got nothing for you. Nope.
Okay. The REMAC report, Dr. Bombard.
Okay, Travis, make sure I don't miss anything here, my friends.
Okay, I'll try.
All right. We had A-list operating authority renewals for Akwesasne, Altoona, Fort Edward, Fort Covington, Keene Valley, and Warrensburg. All nicely, smoothly went through. And we approved Foothills for paramedic level for the next year. And then we'll revisit and make sure that they're on track this time next year. QAQI, we again asked everybody to take a look at their cardiac arrest data. Zach and Travis looked at the regional ketamine data and cardiac arrest data. And we realized that we hadn't really asked them any questions as to what to do with that data. So they've done a great job figuring out what data we can pull up, but then we didn't know what to do with it. So I asked each of the medical control or the REMAC docs to come up with a question for Travis and Zach in the interest of improving our care. So hopefully that'll get done. And we'd like to ask all of the QA/QI groups to continue to look at that data internally as well. But it looks like everybody's doing some good QA/QI for the most part. And so then we moved on to old business, and we heard from the Patient Destinations Committee. And this was a small group that was taking on the challenge of the situation in the Saranac Lake and Lake Placid area. And the situation there is that EMS providers are being asked to call medical control every time they bypass the Lake Placid hospital to go to Saranac Lake, even when they kind of know that this is where their patients need to go, which is completely against the protocol. And we'd asked for Dr. Esper at Saranac Lake to collaborate with us in helping EMS providers to make good decisions without saying, I was going to say calling Mother May I, but that's not really correct, without having to seek guidance every single time, since they are good providers and they know what they're talking about, what their resources are. And Dr. Esper talked with the physicians at Adirondack, and they said, no, we want you to call every time. And that's against the protocol. So the consensus of the REMAC docs was that they wanted me to write a letter advising Dr. Esper and the hospital at large at Saranac Lake that they are going against the protocol and they can't do it anymore. So that's what we're doing. So that letter should go out shortly. This week, I would say, as long as I can get the REMAC docs to read and edit for me. I have a rough draft written. So that's coming there. St. Regis Falls has a new medical director. That's Dr. Nosilla, that some of you are familiar with. And we're going to make sure that he gets a REMAC invite so that he's included. And we talked about electronic signatures and wanted to include some sort of software that'll let us do that so that it'll be easier for agency directors to get their paperwork signed by the docs that are not always so accessible as we should be. So that was okay. Everybody was fine with that. Travis is going to look at a program for that, make your lives easier, hopefully. And then we talked a little bit about surgical airway. So we had a surgical airway performed locally up here. And as I said to the REMAC docs, you guys down in the Glens Falls metropolitan area probably do these once a week, but we don't do them so much up here. And so it instigated a lot of discussion. So the surgical airway that was done well. We didn't have any quality problems with it. It was appropriate. Everything was fine. However, it instigated some thought about this being a high risk, low frequency skill. And we decided that we would like it to be included in the annual competencies. So that is going to be the case. It's going to be included along with your, supraglottic airway and your intubation and supervised cardiac arrest management skills and all of that once a year, starting at January 1st. So we didn't want to start it this year because we have no time to prepare and we don't have a mannequin. We don't have any of that. However, we will start January 1st for next year. That's going to be part of the competencies for any paramedic in the region. And Travis is going to look into finding us a surgical airway mannequin that we can share as a region to help accomplish that. It was also mentioned like I teach the skill in my agency using sheep tracheas I get from a local butcher. I think that's certainly a great option that people can use if you want to do that. Also, we touched on that the first couple of years, ideally, you want a physician involved just to get this kind of up and running. Because it is, certainly a more prevalently physician practice skill than anybody else. But even at the physician level, we don't do a ton of these. So if you can get your local physicians to help you with this competency, that would be ideal. And I think that's it. I think that's all I have.
All right, thank you so much. We do have to vote on the motions from the REMAC. They come as a forwarded motion. Zach, are you able to read those motions to us so we can vote on those quick?
Yeah, so the first one is the ALF renewal for Akwesasne, Altona, Fort Edward, Fort Covington, Keene, Keene Valley, and Warrensburg.
That all came as a one motion forwarded. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Craig seconds that motion. Any discussion on that? Anybody want to discuss anything? Most everybody was on the REMAC call. All right, I'm gonna go with Patty's way of doing it. If anybody opposes or abstains, speak now. Okay, I'm gonna say that passes. All right, Zach, go ahead with the next one.
Foothills Ambulance is the next one, and that is for, I believe it was a 1 year, right?
1 year Foothills Ambulance for a 1 year renewal. Can I get a second? Scott Harwood seconds. Any discussion on that one? Anyone who opposes or abstains, please speak now, forever hold your peace. Abstaining.
abstain.
Craig abstains. Yeah, one
Rob
abstain.
abstains too.
Rob abstains too. You got that, Zach?
Yep,
All right.
Rob and Craig abstain.
Okay, motion passes. Any other REMAC motions?
I think just the last one was to add the surgical airway to the annual skills starting 2022.
Okay, again, comes forwarded. Need a second on that? Scott Harwood seconds. Oh, sorry, Eric, I missed you. Any discussion on that? Of any of the members? Anybody who abstains or opposes, speak now, forever hold your peace. All right,
Mickey, I have a question.
sure.
How many agencies are doing surgical airways? 'Cause we in Cambridge, we don't carry stuff to do surgical airways. I was really under the impression that people were only doing surgical airways that were also doing RSI.
I have to tell you that I don't know that anybody who's really doing surgical airways, but we had a paramedic who was put in a position. The physician wanted the patient transported and the patient had no airway. And so she ordered him to do a surgical airway. Fortunately, he had been in training recently enough without having to do it. And my thought was process that if anybody ever gets in this position again, I don't want them to have to face what he had to face. He didn't have a surgical airway kit. He actually took the scalpel out of the OB kit and used an endotracheal tube and did a very good job with it. But I think that we don't need to put our paramedics in this position. And I think the physicians at REMAC agreed with that. And so it makes sense that, do you want to be that person who is given that order and then says, I can't do it? Or do you want to be that person who says, okay, I can? So does it mean that you may have to get another kit, a surgical airway kit for your ambulance? Maybe, if that's what you left to do. I mean, I guess as an agency, you could say we're absolutely not going to do that. But that's up to you and your medical director.
Okay.
So that's why I brought
Surgical-
it up as a reason for doing it.
I mean, okay.
Surgical airways are included in the airway management and oxygen administration protocol independent of RSI.
Right.
RSI is just a step if available.
I think it also says does this also say if you're trained to do it also?
If equipped and trained. But I know that all of the new medic students coming out of E-Town's program are trained extensively in the program for that.
Right. Except that for some of them, it's been 1.5 years now. And so at what point do your skills deteriorate?
Keeping up with the skill. Okay.
It's keeping up with the skill.
Okay.
It's like doing RSI. It's like doing all those other high-risk procedures. Do we want to leave people hanging and maybe getting into trouble rather than doing some education along the way? So that's fine.
Any opposed or abstentions to that? All right, motion passes.
We lost your sound, Nick.
Sorry, I muted myself.
Got that.
So, next thing is the Warren County REMSCO seat. Chief has served his 8 years, and we're grateful to him for doing that. He has to take a year off. So we had a letter of interest from Ashley Rivers. We sent I think Travis put her CV in the packet for everybody. We'd like to recommend her. So if I can get a motion to add her to the REMSCO, that'd be great.
Bryce, I make a motion to add Ashley Rivers from Warren County to the REMSCO to replace Chief Schrammel.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion on that? All right. Anybody opposed or abstaining? Okay, motion passes. All right, what's next? New business, updated committee list. Travis emailed out the new committee list. Just check to see where your name is and if you're the chair of the committee or not. We had 3 committee meetings today. Just in case anybody, we sent who was newly on the committee the information. So those members met today. As far as meeting dates go, I'm going to make a suggestion that we keep it mainly the 4th Monday. I know that we tend to try to change it up for different events, but I was looking at January 24th, which is the 4th Monday. April 18th, which is the 3rd Monday. But I thought there was a vacation week in there. That last week, I thought was vacation week. So I looked at April 18th. July,
I think spring break is a little bit earlier this year, Mick.
is it?
I think for most schools, yeah.
All right. If nobody's got any objections, the 18th works better for me, just because I work at the firehouse on the 25th, which is the 4th Monday.
I'm good with that.
July 25th. I don't know when Iron Man is. I was just looking at that as the 4th Monday, and I don't have anything as far as on my calendar. Is that no good?
No, I was just gonna say it doesn't matter anymore. Dr. Broderick's not, doing it, and all except for Matt, but maybe. But
Iron Man
I
is
end up at the Ironman with a bunch of students. If we could avoid the Ironman, that would be awesome.
is it that last weekend for sure? Because there's
If I can find it.
typically the last
there's
weekend.
5 Saturdays, so
uh,
in that month.
Sorry, I'm looking. You would not think this would be this hard. I'm sorry.
To their website, it looks like,
July 24th.
Is it July 24th?
according to their website,
All we got.
Can we do August 1st? Would that be all right?
Fine with me.
That'd be
Sounds
okay.
good to me.
August 1st. All right. August 1st, and then October, I got the 24th, October 24th is Monday. That's the 4th Monday. Does that sound good? All right.
Nick, what was what'd you have for January and April?
get back to the calendar here. January 24th
Yep.
and April 18th, if that was all right with everybody.
Okay.
And calendar, back to the agenda. We'll get those sent out to everybody so everybody knows. All right. The Muru app. I'm finding as I've gone along talking to the providers, not a lot of providers have downloaded it yet. I don't know if everybody else here has looked at it, but it seems like it's pretty great for the most part, constantly updated, but to make sure that all the providers are also getting it. What else we have on that, Travis?
Well, I mean, we're working on a couple issues. There's actually our counterparts in the Southern Tier put together a survey that's been sent out across the state. I sent it to everybody, all the agencies in the region. If they can pass that along to their people, that'd be good. Just to kind of get a feel for how many people are using it, what they like about it, what they don't like about it, how does it compare to the collaborative protocol app. Right now, everything within the app is open and free. So the dosing calculator and things like that and different tools are open access for right now. Come say Q1 of 2022, the free access to everything gets shut off. And so what a lot of people are questioning is if one of the issues that came up was actually, I think maybe Tiff, you raised the issue with dosing. That's something that probably with the controversies that we have surrounding ketamine and things that providers should have access to a dosing calculator. So, why isn't that going to be free? Is that something the state can work on? And then, the pricing structure from there, they want to charge so much per person, per agency access point.
It's
for
going
the
to
app on a monthly
be $8 a month is what they told us at the CMAC.
So
they told us it's $8 a month per provider.
yeah, so there's going to be
and
limited free access, and then anything
So like
above
we'll
that.
have access to the protocols, but none of the calculators or the add-ons unless we pay $8 a month per provider, which I thought was ridiculous, to be very honest. And we had a pretty heated discussion about this at the CMAC. The upshot of which was that Ryan Greenberg sounded like he was not set on this being our ultimate app. And if it was that expensive, maybe we would let some other app developer go. I don't know what the story is. But what I said at the CMAC, and it sounded like I had a lot of agreement among the CMAC docs, is I said, if we're going to have an app that costs providers $8 a month, the state needs to pick up that $8 a month, because we can't be moving to an app that doesn't have a calculator. That's just unconscionable. And then sort of the whole thing kind of like, there was sort of mic drop there, right? Like, I don't know if the state's going to pick that up or if they're going to pick another app or if Muru's going to back down on that or what's going to happen. But
so Tiffany, the REMSCO meeting that I listened to, apparently the app developer came on and said that the basic is going to be free forever because apparently the state already paid for that development.
Yeah, I've heard
under the EMSC
whether the
grant.
state paid anything for it or whether that was free.
Yes, the state actually paid apparently under the EMSC grant to develop it or to put it in place. I'm not sure what exactly they paid for. But the extended stuff, the dosing, calculating, and that stuff, there may well be a charge for. But I guess the way he sounded, it wasn't totally set in stone yet. So I guess stay tuned for further developments. It'll be interesting to see whether or not they actually handle or actually go with that at the end. Because after the REMSCO meeting and some of the pushback he received, they may look at changing it, I'm hoping.
Good. You should have
We'll
gotten
see.
some pushback because that's ridiculous. If I can buy PediCalc for $4 forever, how am I having to pay $8 a month for a calculator? That's just crazy.
Right.
Anyway, sorry. I'm being quiet now. Here I am. Quiet.
All right, any other discussion on the Muru app? All right. Any other new business anybody wants to bring up? Anything? All right, any public comments, Trev, that we need to address?
I'm checking right now. Hold on. There's just one message under the live chat. Aaron Barney, way back at 6 o'clock, just says that under the new executive order, it allows for programs like Cambridge Valley. It's listed under the one about EMT hospital scope of practice. So that was in reference to the community paramedicine discussion. But that's the only comment that I see.
All right. Anything else? All right, I get a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Jeff, second.
Second.
All right. Thanks for logging in, everybody. We appreciate you and we appreciate your time. Have a great evening. See you at the next meeting.